Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome back to From Tree to Lumber. This is the sixth part of my sawmill shed build. So today we're going to start to support the front and back walls with the beams that I cut in last week's videos. I'm going to make sure that everything is plumb, and then I'm going to start marking things out, and we're going to get right to this because it's a beauty afternoon and I've only got a couple hours. All right, first thing I need to do is just double check that these things are plumb, particularly in this direction. And that's awfully close. Oh, and so is that. Really close. So I can live with that. It's good. I've got to mark out where I want these beams to go, right? So I want it to come up on an angle, but I don't want it to come up on just any angle. I want it to come up exactly parallel to the rafters. You know, otherwise I think it'll look funny. So what I'm going to do is measure down 12 inches. It looks like a lot on this side, but when we get to the high side, remember that the actual beam is 3 inches thicker, so I need that little bit of space. So we're going to mark it right there. And that will be the top of the beam. All right, now we're on the high side. I'll do the same thing. Measure down from the bottom of the beam, 12 inches. All right, now as long as I keep the top of the beam to those two lines, it will be parallel to the rafter, which is what I want. And that's a nice spot. I didn't want it too close. I think that's gonna look great.
Instead of the traditional mortise and tenon joints, I'm going to use heavy lag bolts to secure these beams to the posts. That gives me the freedom to remove them if my needs for this building ever changed in the future. Once the roof goes on this shed, those beams would be locked in there forever. I'm still going to cut in the half-inch housings to help support the weight of these oak timbers. Not only that, it just looks better, you know?
Let's see if we can get this housing all taken care of before the sun sets. So, as it turns out, 3 horsepower routers aren't all that much fun to use freehand off a ladder. So I've done the best I can to just break up, you know, the hole, and I'll just clean it out with a chisel. Now obviously I'm gonna have to make a little notch out of the top. It can't be square here, it's gotta be angled up, right, to match the angle of the rafters. I'm gonna have to widen this a little bit because it's 6 inches, the beam's 6 inches, and it's gonna be on an angle, so it'll be a little bit longer. But I will, I'll take all that into account when I get the beam cut and up there. So I've got the measurements between the two posts, and I've got an angle off of the top of the rafter, so I should be able to calculate how long that support beam's gonna need to be. Remember I told you about that measure twice, cut once thing, but really the best thing to do is not have to measure at all. This would be a prime example of that. I've taken the measurement off the top right to be 14.7 degrees, but how would I possibly transfer that over to my square, right? So the best thing is to just take the reading right off the actual part, and that's it right there. Tighten that down. Okay, so I don't have a lot of extra length on this beam, so I'm going to cut it as close to the end as possible. I'm going to make one end, and then I'll get it all just right and nice, and then I'll do the other end after I confirm what size or what length it needs to be. I figured it out, but I want to double check it because, you know, reality is always a little bit different, right? Last night I took all the measurements that I made earlier in the day to figure out what the length of this beam's going to have to be. And I used a little triangle app on my phone. I took into account the 1/2-inch housings at each end and everything that I could think of. And I ended up with 112 3/16 as the length for the two cuts. So I've got her marked off at 112 3/16. I just have to mark my angle, make the cuts.
To make those last minute adjustments to the housing, I'm just using one of the cutoffs that just came off the beam. It's obviously a lot lighter and easier to position.
See how that fits in there now? It's a lot better. A lot better. Okay, let's do the top.
I'm definitely becoming a lot more comfortable with these chisels. I make it a point to sharpen them every night after use, and I'm keeping them sharp by being a lot more careful in how I handle them on the work site here. They're definitely a great tool that I just never had much experience with. One of my cross braces was in the way of the rear housing, so I had to take it out. That allowed the space between the posts to open up just a little bit, so I'm going to use this ratchet strap to pull them back together and hold things tight, especially when I finally get that beam back in place.
It does. Excellent. Right on, I got it up and it looks great. It's in there nice and tight and it fits nicely. All the cracks look great. All the seams look great. So that's a great start. Okay, the longest bolts I could get at my regular lumber yard was 8 inches. So obviously that's not enough to grip into the end of the beam. So what I'm going to do, and I don't mind doing this, is I'm going to countersink it about 2 inches. I mean, really, what I can get away with that, believe me. Then I'll get 4 inches of thread, 4 inches here. That's going to be fine. And then I'm probably going to end up putting a little brace on it to just be sure, but that's the plan for now.
Drilling the holes for the lags is a multi-step process. The posts need to be drilled out for the countersink and for the pilot hole. The pilot drill bit extends just far enough through the post to leave a mark on the end of the beam, and I'll drill that out for the threads to bite into just a little bit later. But before I remove the beam to do that, I've measured out all the housings for the brace that I will have to put in to support it. If everything goes right, this is going to be the last time I have to install this beam. I'm putting the lags in just so everything is secure and, doesn't fall on my head in the middle of this, right? But I'm not going to tighten them down all the way. I'll wait until all the bracing and everything is in place, and then I'll bring a hand ratchet out and just tighten them down.
This brace is made 100% from math. I hope it works. It's calculated so that this angle and this angle will be exactly the same. Therefore, this length and this length will be exactly the same. So it's all measured out. Got my pockets cut. It's a leap of faith. It's a little long. See, it's just a touch long on that side. Now, I suppose it's possible that the posts aren't plumb, and they will be when this thing is pounded into place. So let's try that if I can. It's awfully tight. Oh man, that is so close. So close that it seems like it's right. That's what it's. That's tight. But it's in. Holy. Look at that fit. That angle's still looking good. That looks good. Made a little mistake up here, I guess. I didn't think about that all the way through, but I'm all right with it. So let's the real test. The real test is if it's plumb. It is. It looks really good. That's amazing. They're perfect. Math wins again. Math wins again. That clamp is there just to hold that 2x4, and the 2x4 is just there to catch the lip of the brace so that I don't have to hold the weight of it. I just kind of slotted it in, and it, well, you saw, pounded into place. Next step is to drill some holes for the bolts and tighten her down.
It's the next day and it's another beauty. Maybe just a tad cold, but the sun's out and that's good enough for me. So the goal today is just to finish up this wall, which will pretty much complete all the major structural components. Ultimately, the shed's going to be enclosed on this side, probably with planks of various wood types in a kind of as-it-happens fashion with whatever comes my way over the next few months. The majority of the shed will remain open, but I'd like this wall and maybe part of the back wall covered just to protect the sawmill from, rain and snow. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but I just can't believe I ever lived without these mallets. It doesn't matter how hard I hit these timbers, it just will not leave a mark. And it moves stuff. A good swing moves stuff. Trust me. So structurally, this beam and the two knee braces are pretty straightforward. It's definitely easier to bolt everything into place, but I kind of feel like I'm cheating a bit. But I just really want the ability to modify the design if my needs change down the road, and it's just the way it has to be.
That's amazing.
I'll be making up some brackets to just kind of strengthen these joints once I'm sure everything is together properly. The bolts do a great job of pulling the joints together, but having a secondary connection just seems like a good idea to me. Everything has checked out to be plumb, square, and level where it needs to be. I think it's finally time to go around the entire structure and tighten up those bolts one last time.
All right, so I've been looking forward to this all week. I am going to take off all the bracing and just see how she stands on her own. Pretty good, I think.
That's going to be it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what's wrong with you? Hit the button. Okay, here's some cool drone footage just to end the video.